In our last lesson of this unit, we're going to look at geometric series, so adding the terms in a geometric sequence. So like the arithmetic series, we also have a sum formula for a geometric series. It's easier to use in the sense that we don't need to know what the last term is, but it's more challenging to use just because it's a more complicated formula and will be harder to memorize. So taking a look at our formula, we have the sum of the first n terms equals the first term times the quantity 1 minus that common ratio to the nth power all over 1 minus the common ratio. So let's take a look at how we can apply this. Again, that t sub 10 is the 10th term, t is for term. So we have the sum of the first n terms. I'm going to write the formula down again, and if you do that too, the more often you write it down, the faster you'll get it memorized. So we've got that first term times 1 minus the common ratio to the nth power all over 1 minus the common ratio. Substituting what we know, we are summing the first 10 terms. Our first term is 3, and that common ratio may not be real evident to you as you're looking at this. So if it's not, just go off to the side and show your work that second term divided by the first term and then simplify. If you have a hard time simplifying with a decimal, what you can do is multiply each of the terms by 10, moving that decimal point one place to the right, and then dividing 45 and 30 both by 15, we get a common ratio of 3/2. So we're going to substitute that for our r, so 3/2 to the 10th power all over 1 minus 3/2. In a previous video, I asked you to get comfortable using fractions. However, when you're taking something to the 10th power, that's a little bit challenging. So you can go ahead and just punch this into your calculator, and I got a sum of approximately 339 and 99 hundredths, or 990 thousandths if you round to 3 decimal places. You could also round this to 340, and I wouldn't mind that either. All right, next we're looking at the sum of the first 12 terms. So what we need to do is, again, we don't need to know what the 12th term is. So I'm going to write down this formula again. I encourage you to write it down with me so you can get it memorized. The sum of the first n terms is the first term times 1 minus that common ratio to the nth power all over 1 minus r. Substituting what we know, we are summing the first 12 terms. The first term, so we need to substitute 1 in for n, which would be to the 0 power. So our first term is that negative 12. This is our explicit formula, times 1 minus that common ratio of 1/2 to the 12th power, all over 1 minus 1/2. Again, punching this into your calculator, we get a sum of approximately negative 23.994. Again, if you want to round that to negative 24, that would be fine.